All right, guys. So thanks so much for joining. Today we have Nicole on here. So Nicole has done like the fastest underwriting I've ever seen in under like 2 minutes. And this is for mortgage protection. This is geared towards mortgage protection. So we have like 50 different carriers, but Nicole kind of boils it down to what she's going to tell a new agent to really worry about when you have multiple clients on the phone, like a husband and wife, or just like what options are you going to go to? So she's going to go over her quick rundown of what companies she goes to and why and different things you guys could write down so you could implement it because I think it's so important after you get the health stuff. If you are on hold with the client too long, like more than 5 minutes, they're going to hang up. So you want to be super speedy, fast. And Nicole's one of the fastest people I've ever seen. So I'm going to let her kind of take it away. And if you want to share your screen or whatever it is you look at, let me know if you need anything. Thank you.
So thanks for coming on, guys. So mine is pretty simple. You guys are gonna be like, wow, this is the simplest person on the face of the earth. But the two companies I always, and I would definitely suggest writing notes because it's going to be very beneficial. So the two companies I always go with for mortgage protection first is Americo and Prosperity. So after I get all of their information of any health questions or anything, I literally just go to the cheat sheet, which you guys should have access to. It's on a bunch of our different websites. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then there you go. She's showing it right there. If you guys don't have it, then let Desiree know and she'll be able to send it over to you. And then I kind of just go off of, so there's a couple of different things that I look at. So Prosperity, and as long as they are medically like okay, then these are the companies that I will go with. So Prosperity I'll automatically do for anybody who is 40 and above. So anyone who's 40 years old or older, I'll automatically go to Prosperity because it's cheaper than Americo. For anyone who's 39 and under, I do Americo Term 125. And then anybody who's in their 20s, I'll actually do Americo CBO, which is cashback option. And I do that for anybody in their 20s because if, you know, first of all, it's kind of harder to sell a 20-year-old because a lot of the times they don't have kids, they're not married, anything like that. So the cashback option, I kind of sell to them like a savings account, right? So I know you're young, so a lot of people will use this as a saving account, savings account. And I let them know this is, you know, only something that they offer to people in their 20s. And then from there, like I said, so that's kind of like the key point that I kind of hit on. So 40 and above, I do Prosperity just because it's going to be more affordable for them. 39 and below, I do Americo. And then 20s and below, so like 29 and below usually is where I start. I'll do Americo CBO 100. As far as like the cheat sheet goes, I'll just look at that quickly for Americo and Prosperity. If for some reason they have something that will automatically decline them, I'll try and do the other company of the two. If for some reason they're still not approved with them, I'll actually, depending on their age, so if it's going to be a term product, I'm going to automatically go to American Amicable because they, luckily at the end of their application, they tell you exactly what medications they're on. So that's pretty helpful. If it's like a whole life product, so if I'm doing equity protection, I'll automatically go to Aetna next. Again, it just really depends on like what medical conditions they have and things like that. But that's kind of an easy little summary of how I do it so quickly. Do you have questions, Des, that I can? Yeah, what's up?
So I'm taking notes. I have the Americo with the ages, Prosperity plus 40, and then wasn't able to write down after that.
Yeah, you're fine. So with a term product, so if somebody's trying to get a term product, if they're not like too old or something, if they get declined, or if on the cheat sheet it says they're going to get declined with those two companies, I'll look at American Amicable next, the Term Made Simple. And then for the whole life equity protection one, I'll look at Aetna next. again, it really just depends on like their medical conditions and things. But I'll definitely, like, anytime somebody asks me an underwriting question, I literally go to the cheat sheet that you guys all have. Like, I don't have any special system or anything. I literally go to that same exact sheet for it. But those are just the 4 companies that I favor. The 2 are America and Prosperity. I'll always try and write them first. If I can't write them, then those are the other 2 companies that I will pivot to. And then obviously, if for some reason they decline with all 4 of them, then I'll kind of go from there. But that rarely happens. So, Des, any questions or anything else I can kind of touch on more or anything?
I want to say that's pretty much it. So specifically though, like if you are going to be writing a quote, right? So when you're considering, you say, hey client, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to do some underwriting for you. I'm assuming you're looking at their monthly budget. So where are the key components there? You have your grid sheets ready. You know, you're going to go to your top 2 companies and you're looking at their age, but also depending on their health, you're kind of formatting, right? So for example, equity protection, do you always do 12 months, 9 months, 6 months, or is it like obviously according to their budget, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, it definitely depends on their budget, I would say. So if somebody has a higher budget, depend on their age, I'll always start at like 6 months. I'll put 6 months in, just like for my knowledge. And if it's like around the 70 mark, I'm like, that's a pretty good start for most people, I would say. So if it's like, if the 6 months is like $200, then obviously I'm going to go a little bit lower to start, because I don't want them to be their lowest option unless they make a lot of money. And then if the 6 months is like $40 a month, I'm going to start a little bit higher, because that's just a really low monthly mortgage or monthly payment.
Gotcha.
And then I also do the same thing with the term. So like, let's say there was a 49-year-old, right? And they're looking at Prosperity, depending on how much their mortgage is. So let's say their mortgage is for $500,000. If their $500,000 is like, let's say that top amount is like $500, $600 for a 30-year term, I'll push it down in term, because obviously for the most part with the clients that we deal with, they're not going to be paying $600, $700, $800 a month, right? So I'll switch the term length to a lower term. I don't usually like mention anything, but if they do ask me how long the coverage is, I'll say something along the lines of, yeah, so most people, and this is what a really key word is, most people will put into place the mortgage protection for when their mortgage is the most expensive. So the first 15 years is when your mortgage is going to be the most expensive. And then after 15 years, you know, you're not going to owe as much. So they're not too concerned about that. And then I'll kind of go off of that. But it really, yeah, I really just look at their age and how, you know, the mortgage amount and how much that highest and lowest amount is going to be. I usually, obviously, again, just try and keep it in their budget. What was the other part of that question, I think, that you asked?
No, I think that's it. But that's the same thing that I do, because if they have a 30-year term and they're, I don't know, 50, it's going to be really expensive to do a 30-year term for a 50-year-old. So I say the same thing. I'm like, hey, John, most people, that's herd mentality. So most people, they end up paying this off a lot sooner. So you're not even going to need the full 30. It's just going to be in those key moments. So I don't even like give them a choice either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I can't remember the last thing.
Someone did ask a question.
Somebody asked if
the equity protection question.
Equity protection for the newer people. Okay. I can definitely explain it, but keep in mind, I explain it exactly how it is on the script. So I can go over it really quick for you guys.
No. That's fine. I have some of my guys in here who are in coursework, and one is in the middle of getting his license. So okay. they aren't quite familiar with these terms.
Okay. It's just, so I definitely, so if you guys look at the script and look at if not healthy, or is your script say that too, does?
It does, verbatim, yep.
If you guys look at that, that's literally exactly what I say, just to clarify for you guys a little bit about what it is. So it's just a different outlook on, so obviously if somebody's older or not healthy, they can't get term insurance, right? So the equity protection is just a whole life coverage. That's a lot smaller of an amount. So how we word it is covering a certain amount of months of mortgage payments. That way, you know, they're not running from the funeral home to the real estate office. It gives their family time to kind of grieve and figure things out. So a lot of the times you'll do like 6, 9, or 12 months. So you'll always give them 3 options, 6 months of coverage. That would make it so when something happens to them, the mortgage payments will be paid for their family for 6 months. Same with the 9 and 12 months. I think the key thing for equity protection is not mentioning how much coverage it actually is. Because if somebody has a mortgage payment of $1,000 a month and you say, hey, so we found something for you, it's $6,000 of coverage, $9,000 of coverage, or $12,000 of coverage, when they have a $400,000 loan, they're going to be like, why the heck would I do that? Sorry, I forgot she's recording. Why the heck would I do that? It just doesn't make sense, right? So if you go off of months, it just makes a lot more sense for them. So like, oh my gosh, 6 months of coverage, that could give them plenty of time to sell the house or grieve and figure out the bills. You know, 6 months is a lot of time for them. So it just sounds a lot better. Go ahead.
So is the equity or the whole life, is that, that doesn't come with living benefits? That's only if they die?
That comes with the terminal illness rider.
Okay.
So if the doctor tells them they have 12 months or less to live.
And then death.
Yep.
Oh.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question, Nicole. So in regards to that, if somebody does ask about for the coverage amount, what do you tell them? Because they'll, you know, you explain to them that's like, oh, they'll pay for 12 months.
Yeah. Usually I don't get anybody asking me what the actual coverage amount is, but I still won't say it. I'll be like, it's just your monthly mortgage times 12
Okay.
or times 6. And then they'll be like, oh. So I don't really ever still say the amount. I just make them figure it out for themselves, because it's, I mean, if they can't figure it out, then they should probably not get the coverage anyways.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else at all? No? Des, anything else you want me to hit on?
I think that's it. And I think it's important, guys. A lot of you guys are new. You got to just keep rolling with the punches. At least now we deduced it down to 2 companies, and print your grid sheets out. I know you guys have your grid sheets, and it's funny because I'll tell people, hey, these are the 2 grid sheets you need, but then no one has it printed out. And then by the time that they're underwriting, they're like, where do I go? But if you have that grid sheet and you memorize it over and over and you're flipping through it and it's tangible, also save it to your files too. I think it's helpful and you'll start to understand a lot more. But no, I think if no one else has any other questions, as a new person, is there anything else with like underwriting? We kind of boiled it down to 2 simple companies and ages, and always be on Zoom.
So
If
do we,
that's
when people ask like, oh, who do you work with? Like, as far as like, who, do we tell them like who they're going to be insured by? Like, can we say that instead once we figure out who we're going to go with?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely let them know, but I always just let them know. I mean, I tell them, well, the first company we're going to try to get you approved with is so-and-so. If for some reason you're not approved with them, I'll give you a call and we can look at different options.
Okay.
nice.
Noah, did you have another question?
No, you just answered it. I was gonna say, I did that once and I made that mistake because I said, oh, it's gonna be this company, and they ended up getting denied. So I had to go with someone else, which raised their price. Now I have to re-explain they might not be interested. Thankfully, I was able to close it, but you answered it completely. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I will never give them a for sure this is the company that you're going to go with until I for sure know that they're approved. I will literally just be like, the cheapest company that I found for you right now is this company. That's the first company we're going to try to get you approved for. I work with over 40 different companies. So if for some reason you're not approved with them, I'll give you a call and we'll kind of pivot and look at some other options from there. And then Des, do you want to stop the recording and then I'll kind of go into
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Do you want to stop?